Hello, everybody, and welcome to Me, Myself, and I, a Better Life podcast. Because no matter where you are, there you are. And why not live your best life? Everybody's heard about what you think about, you bring about. Well, it's actually true. I'm sure you have at one point in your life thought about a friend and they called. But I'm actually talking about real big changes. Changes of health, money, finances, a car you drive, anything that you want in that's up here can actually become physical. So it's no coincidence that all of these people throughout time, you've got Walt Disney. I mean, look what he created in a time when they didn't even have computers. You have Helen Keller, Oprah Winfrey, Albert Einstein even says it. So it's no coincidence that we keep going through time. Bob Proctor, what you think about, you bring about, famous quote. And then, of course, Dr. Joe Dispenza. He takes science and spirituality and combines them with knowledge on how your brain functions. Let's get into my next guest. And hello, Karina. Welcome to the show of Me, Myself, and I.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, so today, we're talking about vision boards, and you are having a class coming up. We'll get into that, but this is something that you do and part of your professional career path of vision board making. So what is a vision board for people who have no idea?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know if you can put one up on the screen, April, but it might be helpful to have a visual. So basically, you're just taking images that speak to you in some way and putting them together in a collage, essentially. The magic of it is from the intention behind it. So it doesn't really matter what images speak to you at the moment. Sometimes you have a really specific intention, and sometimes an image just, you feel like, ooh, I love that. I want that for some reason. And you can also put that in your board. A lot of it is, there's kind of a cross between practical, kind of tangential stuff, like stuff that you could touch and feel and have. And then there's stuff that's more like energy stuff, a feeling that you want to have, that for some reason what you see on the board gives you that feeling. Yeah. So, basically a vision board is a way to bring things into your life that you want to have as part of your life, and as a way of kind of short circuiting the conscious mind, because our conscious minds like to stay the same. So a lot of times our consciousness will keep us in the same groove that's been working for us, because that's easier than making any sort of change. So this is a way to kind of subvert that, very, very powerful brain, and bringing things into your life that might be a little bit different than what you've had before.
Yeah, actually, I'm reading this book by Dr. Dispenza, and he's a neurologist and a spiritual healer. And, your brain is like Groundhog Day. And this, you have to, it's a great book. If you want to know more about your own brain, it's something to explore. But he says you have to visualize. And if it's easy for me. I love, pretending I'm somewhere else. But this actually helps you focus. And, most people, so going back to vision boards, I did my first vision board. It was career driven. And I took a class and it was guided, and we went through all mind mapping and kind of dumping out, what is the purpose of this board? Now today, with where everybody's mindsets, there's a lot of ickiness out there in your own brain. And apparently they're showing studies it kind of helps you shift your mind into more positive. Tell us a little bit about, for that, healing purposes.
Sure. Well, I think, all of our brains are wired to highlight fear, basically, because that is what's gotten us through evolution to this point. We know where danger lurks. We know, so what happens a lot of times, and especially, right now, because we're in a world where we don't have to, run away from a saber-toothed tiger, but our brain still has that wiring where it seems like every threat is a major threat. And so even if somebody says something like kind of nasty on the internet, it still sparks our brain in that same way. So we still have that same like fight, flight, or freeze. And, we're seeing just tons and tons of anxiety and depression with folks. So there are ways to counteract that, and some are harder than others. One of the things that's nice about a vision board is that it's really, really easy to find some images that you find uplifting, that make you feel good in some way. And, one of the things that's really nice about doing it in a class setting is that you're doing it in community. I really think that part of it can't be oversold. Sitting with a group of folks, whether you know them or not, it doesn't really matter, and having some guidance and bringing the communal aspect of the process together kind of brings more juice and more energy to it. And a lot of times what's happening is while you're looking for images and you're kind of talking with the group about things that that you want to bring into your life, other folks are feeding things into that. So I might say, I'm really looking for an image of X, like a walk on a beach or something like that. And then other folks, as we're looking through all of the images that we have access to, usually through magazines or printed things that people bring from the internet, people will say, oh, I just saw something that's that, and so they'll help you find that image. And a lot of times it might be, it's always a little bit different than what you think. And that's okay. Like, that's what's kind of interesting, I think, about the board, is that plenty of times I'll put something on a board that I'm like, I don't really know why I'm putting that on there, except that I am drawn to the image for some reason, or something's, I don't know, I just like it. And what's really cool is to go back, sometimes months, sometimes years later, and realize, oh my gosh, that was that thing. Like sometimes it'll happen to me where I'm in real life and I'll see the thing that's on my board and recognize that, oh my gosh, that's that thing. And sometimes, like I was just telling you before we started, I just happened to look at a vision board that's sitting behind my computer and recognize, like, oh, that's in my house right now. And I hadn't even recognized it before.
Well, tell everybody about your little story, because clearly you're like, oh my gosh, I have that now.
Yeah. So the vision boards that I have sitting behind my computer, like in front of me on my desk right now, I created probably like one of them from probably like 4 years ago, and one of them from probably 3 years ago. And I moved in 2020, and the house that I found, which literally the first house that we saw, had several things that I was just like, oh my gosh, I've been looking for this for such a long time. One of them is my bathtub and my bathroom, which is
hey, that's important.
And actually, it's really funny because on one of the vision boards that I sent you as an example, there's a photo of a tub, which is the tub that I was envisioning, because in my old house, all of our tubs were like too small to fit in. Yeah. So that tub,
so I wanted to have that tub
that was like deep, and I could like fit my whole body in, because like standard tubs, I'm tall and it just doesn't fit. And what's funny about this one is that right beside it, do you see that funky chandelier with like the leaves and stuff?
Yeah.
So at the time, the house that I was living in, I hated the chandelier. So that's why I put the chandelier there, because I was looking for one. Well, so it turns out I moved into a house that has that tub and has a chandelier right above the tub, which is like nothing I would have ever thought that I wanted. Like, I don't even know that I saw that as an option. You know what I mean? But then
I
looking back, I'm like, oh wait, but now I have a chandelier above my tub. Okay, like that's cool, you know. But it was really about the feeling that I wanted to have. Like
right.
that room, you know, that image for me was about the lightness in the room, and the tub, you know, the whole kind of feeling. And in my bathroom right now, it's the lightest room of the house. It has a sunlight. It has big windows right over the tub like that, and then the chandelier.
Wow. I'll have to come borrow your tub.
I love it. Yeah. And then in the other one, the one that I saw just today, I recognized like, oh, there's a sunroom in this photograph.
Uh-huh.
And I have like basically the exact same sunroom with like all the windows. It's kind of, you know, it's like an enclosed porch, which I'd been looking for years because I get mosquito bitten so badly in the summertime. So, you know, just things that they're not exactly the same,
Right.
but they're like the same feeling as what I had on my board.
You have another, here's another image. So if anyone go into our YouTube channel and you can see the images too. But I see here, this one is more words driven, women
Yeah.
on a mission. I love that. We are all entrepreneurs now. Love that. You know, so obviously, I guess it's whatever moves you, whether it's an image or words.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, you just don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, what's interesting, you had asked me about like sharing things that have come through my board. And I mean, they're all fascinating stories. And that board that you were just showing, one of the things so it was when I had decided to leave my job
You were talking about that.
and start, you know, doing coaching full time. And some of the things that I wanted to bring in, like there's a lot of health and wellness stuff, a lot of taking risks, like you mentioned, a lot of words. And also you'll notice around there's a lot of gold, right? So I have found some ads, I don't know, in some magazine and found all these gold bars and was like, well, I definitely am going to need money. I was feeling very just apprehensive about going out on my own. And
Sure.
what's interesting about that one is I probably had it for 2 years or so, as I was kind of starting my business and working my way through. And, you know, when I created the board, I was thinking of the gold more as like earnings or,
Mhm.
you know, how I was going to just keep my family afloat, working for myself, that kind of thing. And what ended up happening is that I ended up basically not coming into money yet, but I got a message that I was from someone that I was going to come into a certain amount of money from an inheritance, and it was a lot, and I was really kind of stunned and amazed. And I probably found that out. It was probably several months before I realized, after I found out that information, I was actually sitting at my desk doing something and I saw the vision board behind me. And it suddenly occurred to me, like, I wonder how much gold is on that board.
Yeah,
And
I see their gold plates.
yeah, and knowing about the inheritance, I was like, and how much is gold even worth? So this is like my little bit of craziness. I went through and I counted all the gold bars that
Yeah.
are on the board. And I Googled the price of gold at that moment, and it was exactly the same amount as the sum I was told I was going to get in an inheritance.
Okay, that's wild.
It, I was just like, you've got to be kidding me.
And you just put the gold bars on. Wasn't it because like, oh, this is the amount of my, like, who would think that? It was
No, I
because
had
of the
no idea. I
color.
was just like, oh, it's gold. That represents wealth. Like, I want to make sure that I'm, you know, making enough money and whatever. This is a good thing to have on my board.
Yeah.
It didn't occur to me at all until it was way, way later that I went through and counted and was just like, holy shit, that's the exact same amount of money that I was just told. Okay.
No, I would have done the same thing on a little like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
I
Like,
mean, that's the thing about the boards. Like, I'm not going to lie, it's a little bit creepy. Like, there's a little bit of like, what? And actually, if you look at the first one, this is a great example. So on the first one, I was making this board, and my husband and I were planning a trip, and so I had found like a National Geographic magazine, and I was cutting out all of these pictures. We were planning a trip that was going to be like a year away. So it had just been like the spark of an idea at that point. And you see this picture of in the lower right hand side of the like palm tree and the building there.
Yeah.
So we were planning a trip to Cuba in 2016, and the way that I like to travel is I like to just kind of like, pick a couple places and maybe like book my first night stay and then just go and see where the wind takes us, kind of thing.
Cool.
So we went to Cuba, and our first day, we landed, and I wanted to make sure we didn't have that much time. So I wanted to make sure we got as far away as possible from where we were going to leave. So we took this really long, crazy ride, like a 6-hour car ride. We got to our Airbnb like late at night, and just kind of fell into bed in this city that I didn't really know anything about. And then we got up in the morning, and our host had made us this beautiful breakfast and whatever. And so we ate, and then we're just like, well, let's just wander around town. Let's see what is in this town. Okay. So we start wandering around, and we're trying to kind of find like the center of town. Like there's usually like a central square or whatever. So we're kind of like walking around and just wandering and looking at people and stuff. And we turn a corner, and I see that.
No. It's crazy. Like
that. And I literally was like, oh, that's on my vision board. I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah. No, that's definitely a holy shit moment, because that's literally how it works.
Yeah.
And I've done it like in just like manifesting and writing things, but where the vision board is and where your mind is, they were saying in order to change the Groundhog Day of your brain, you have to use emotion and dream, like, think about what you bring about, kind of thing. And a vision board's helpful because I'm a vision person. I like to, pull, and like you said, go through and say, oh, like I'd like to go here and there. And you're not really knowing why, because at the time you did this, did you know you were going to Cuba?
No, we just knew we wanted to take a trip.
Yeah, and there's a palm tree. That's probably why you picked out the picture. It was the palm tree. It had nothing to do with
I always like to go to warm places.
So. Yeah, clock tower. There's a little Tai Chi. Someone doing Tai Chi, it looks like. I'm just kidding. That is really, really, really cool. I love that. And that's like why I wanted to have this conversation, is because my journey of me, myself, and I, and the way, because when I was, I turned 50, I was like, really, this is it? Like, like, okay. I'm like, oh no, I got more in me, but I didn't know how to make that shift because my mind was, I'm a mom, I have kids, this is what I do for a job, here, no, that's not who, and it's hard to change who you know yourself to be, because that's not who you are. Those are just your surroundings. And that's the mirror. Life is a mirror of who you are. So to change it, though, that's the part that was, I'm 54 now, the journey, it was like, and this was one of the ways, was a vision board class.
Well, and I think sometimes we get stuck in the idea that in order to make a change, it has to be a big thing.
Yeah.
And it really, the change can be so incremental that you don't even necessarily see it. And it really is, like you said, it's an inside job, right? It's all about changing your inner world. And it can just be tiny things. It can be just, thinking about what you really want before you give an answer to someone, or think about what everybody else in your life wants. And so that's part of what I really like about doing a workshop as well, is that a lot of times we're coming together with folks who maybe we don't talk to every day, or who we've never met before at all. And they don't know our public persona necessarily. They don't know things about us. it's different when you come in and you're trying to do something like with your spouse or with your kid, or, people who you feel like, oh, I have some obligation to them, right? It's nice to come in with a group of like strangers or even friends and just kind of dream together in a way that you don't have the same kind of, boundaries around your normal life and your normal presentation. And a
Yeah.
lot of times those interactions turn into like something more profound, which is really cool too. Years ago, I did a vision board workshop, and my best friend came, and she came with her boyfriend at the time, and we just had a really nice time, whatever, like in the whole group. And she said that when she made her vision board, one of the things she was looking at was the possibility of buying a house. And so and this was like way before she was ready to buy a house. But she picked out this house that was a red house and had it like in her vision board. And she hung her vision board in her apartment right by the door, so that every time she was leaving the house or coming in, she would see it, like where she hung her keys and stuff.
Yeah.
And then when she did find her house, I think it was at least 2 or 3 years later. And in fact, I think she and her boyfriend broke up and then got back together. She found this house that was in her hometown of where she had grown up but hadn't been back for like 30 years, on a lake, beautiful. It was a red house.
Wow.
She was like, where am I ever looking for an actual red house?
Right. It has to literally be
brought in.
Available. Like, it's not like I'm looking for a red house. It was on the market and she saw it and it was her.
Well, and this house was like a crazy deal. It had been, the woman who had been there for 60 years. Like, it was this huge fixer-upper, but it was like what she could afford, exactly where she wanted it to be. It was kind of the perfect thing. But that was something that we wanted to talk about too, is like, what do you do with your vision board, right? So she put it in a place where she saw it all the time. Right. I like to put them, for whatever reason, I like to put them in my like office space or study space, kind of what for me is like my private space in the house. I don't see it all the time, but I see it enough. And then the other thing, yay, modern technology, is I just snap a photo of it and stick it on my home screen on my phone. So every time I open up my phone, I'm seeing my vision board. And again, it's like, there's no effort there. It's subconscious.
Right.
But I just see it a lot.
Yeah. No, I like that, actually. Those are some good nuggets, or on your screensaver and a computer, even at work. Just don't put, I want a new job. If you're at work. Just saying.
You just
be careful.
Yeah.
I like my new boss. But oh my gosh, I really love this because, and the reason why I get so excited about it, like I literally have goosebumps, is because what you're saying is, I know it's true. And I'm so excited to take your class, April 14th. It's Vision Hour, which is like happy hour. Yes. With visioning. Because I'm very excited to, I like, now I kind of know what I want, to do. So tell everyone about the class coming up in April.
Sure. So we'll be meeting on Friday, April 14th from 6 to 9 p.m. at Leaping Dog Art Studios in Bordentown. Yep. It seems like a long time to have a 3-hour workshop, and actually the time will pass so fast you won't even know what hit you.
Right.
Folks are welcome to bring wine or whatever if they want, snacks. We like to make it like a bit of a party. I bring a ton of magazines, which is mainly, that's like to kind of prime the pump of what people are looking for. But I do suggest that folks bring any magazines or any images that they have around the house, so they're willing to kind of contribute to the group, because we're always looking for different kinds of images. Even if it doesn't have meaning for you, it might be the exact thing that somebody else is looking for.
Sure.
And then I also suggest, if there's something really, really specific that you want to make sure you have on your board, to go ahead and just find an image on Google and print it out for yourself. Like, for instance, right. If you want like a very specific model of Tesla, or something that's like really super specific, go ahead and print that out for yourself. Or even if it's something that you're just not sure you're going to find with the
In a
hunting
magazine.
through magazines, because we were talking about it's difficult to find magazines anymore.
I know.
And you want to have things that are like fun and positive and uplifting, like not trashy, celebrity gossip magazines necessarily. So we'll kind of come together. I'll talk folks through, as we're working, there's a lot of like looking through stuff as we're chatting about like
Right.
why the vision boards, what you're going for here, sharing things that have happened. My favorite part of the whole thing is after we've finished, we'll take photos with the vision boards and stuff like that, and usually share some contact information, because what I really want to hear is how things came in for people. That's fascinating to me. I love it so much when somebody texts me and they're like, oh my gosh, you won't believe it,
Yeah.
So that's the intention, is just to come together for a few hours on a Friday night, very light and easy, and spend some time in community, meet some new people while we're doing something really for ourselves.
Yeah. And, anybody listening, you can come by yourself. You don't need your tribe. Because this is really about me, myself, and I. It's about you. And that's what I'm trying to encourage people. It's like, you don't always need a tribe. You're going to meet new people. And sometimes you just need to do things for yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. And then,
well, this is the best kind of self-care. I'll just tell you that right now, because
is.
even though it's working on your subconscious level, you're recognizing things at that level and moving toward things at that level. I mean, it's surprising to us when it comes in because it seems unexpected, but actually your mind has been working on it the whole time.
Yeah, it really is. And if it's in your brain, that means you can do it or whatever, but you need to put it somewhere you can see it. Mm-hmm. Because that's when it becomes, you're taking it from here and you're either writing it out and journaling, or you're putting it on a board and saying, okay, universe, so this is where we're going at. And you just showed us some stories of it really happening. I love this. So I'm excited.
Well, and you know what, April, the truth is, like, I've been doing them for a really long time. And there were many years when I would just do one and then put it away and not look at it for years until I kind of stumbled across it.
Right.
And stuff was still coming in. So it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's fun to have it visible because then I'll be like, oh, wait, that's that thing. But truth is, it becomes kind of invisible in your everyday life. Unless you really spend time and intention reflecting on it, which you absolutely can.
Yeah.
And it may make things come in faster, or it may not. Like, I don't know.
I always say if it's in your best interest, it happens. And it does speed up the process, especially if you have clarity, which I'm sure as a coach, you can help people with that, because sometimes you just want a different life, and people like you know how to help people get there. That's for sure.
This is
so
true.
Anyway, yeah. So if anyone's interested in the class, the information's right here. And also for your coaching information, if anyone wants to speak with you, they may have resonated with you online. Your information's over there. And it tagged in there. So thank you so much for coming on. I'm really looking forward to the class, and anybody who's listening, join us. We're going to be in Bordentown and New Jersey, just in case. But it's always a good time.
There's great food and great places in town. So it's always a fun place to come and hang out for a few hours and grab a bite to eat, come do the class. Yeah.
Yeah, and Jen's great too. She's like, talk about creative minds, that one. Love it. All right. Well, thanks. And everybody, make sure to subscribe. It's over there. Subscribe on the channel because we have more shows coming up on how to take care of me, myself, and I to live a better life.